My fiancé said, "We'll fix it after." I replied, "I won't marry a lie." Then I backed up proof, canceled the hall, split bills, filed a report with names and dates, changed locks silent, until a case number arrived and her sister asked to testify. Original post: I am 32, male. My fiancée, Adriana, is 28. We had been together a year and 9 months, no kids. We rented a 1-bedroom over a laundromat where the dryers thumped all night. I work in cybersecurity as a consultant. Remote most days. Adriana worked at a salon and did translations on the side. We met at a coworker's picnic. It felt easy at first. We got engaged last spring. Small ring, big plans. We booked a community hall for a Saturday in August. Paper lanterns, rice and beans, a playlist that mixed my old rock with her salsa. Her sister, Catalina, arrived from abroad 2 weeks before the day. She hugged me long at the airport and said our home smelled like onions and coffee. I liked her right away. The first odd note came 3 days later. Catalina watched Adriana FaceTime late at night. She spoke fast Spanish on a call she took from the balcony. When she hung up, Catalina asked a quiet question in their language. Adriana's reply was sharp and short. I do not speak well, but the tone did not need translation. I tried not to pry. I bought more folding chairs. I called the hall about tablecloths. We wrote our vows on index cards. When I asked about the balcony call, Adriana said it was a cousin about flights. I believed her, mostly. The detail that made my stomach go still was small. I opened the shared Google Drive to print the vendor list. A scanned document sat there with no folder. It was a marriage certificate from Colombia. Adriana's name, a man named Louis. Date stamped 4 years ago. Next to it, a chat export, a line from a number saved as L. It said, "Después de la boda aplica, yo espero." After the wedding, apply, I will wait. I did not confront. My hands shook once and then stopped. I took screenshots. I saved the certificate. I copied the chat file. I created a folder on my desktop and named it Wedding Docs. I wrote the date and the exact words. I took a breath that did not feel like air. I asked Catalina if we could get coffee. We walked to the corner shop. I set my phone on the table and asked, "To do bien?" "All good." She looked at me a long time and asked, "Quieres saber la verdad o quieres la fiesta?" "Do you want the truth or the party?" I said, "La verdad." She told me slow. Adriana had a husband in Colombia, Louis, not divorced, a marriage that never formally ended. Catalina had begged her to tell me. Adriana had said I would help her make papers, and then things could be sorted later. Catalina cried once, wiped her face, and said she could not watch me walk into a lie. I went very quiet inside. The hum of the espresso machine sounded like someone sanding a door. Catalina said she would write a statement if needed. She also asked me not to hurt her sister. I told her the only thing I wanted was the truth and a clean exit. I made one more folder. Adriana status. I put the certificate there. I added screenshots of our texts where timelines were discussed and where she asked about filing forms right after the wedding. Then I called a lawyer I knew from work who handles compliance issues. He gave me a referral to an immigration attorney. She explained the basics. Marriage fraud is a crime. Marrying while still legally married elsewhere is also a problem. She told me not to confront alone. She told me to document. She told me to consider reporting if this felt like a pattern, not a mistake. I listened, took notes, and put the notes in the folder. That was the first action, not a fight. A file. Update 1. I decided the first talk could not happen at home. I asked Adriana to meet me at a small park near the library. Daylight. People around. Catalina said she would sit on a bench nearby if I needed her. Adriana arrived in a floral dress. She kissed my cheek and asked if we should practice vows. I kept my voice even. "I saw a document," I said. "Your marriage certificate. Your messages with someone named Louis." Her smile froze. Her eyes did a fast calculation. That is old, she said. We are not together, it is nothing. Are you divorced? I asked. Silence. A bird landed on a trash can and hopped twice. She looked everywhere but at me. Not yet, she said. It is complicated, we will fix it. After the wedding we can file, people do this. People commit crimes, I said. I do not. She reached for my hand, I pulled mine back. Baby, she said, I love you, Louis is just a paper. You are my real life, we can do this. Everyone wins. No, I said. I do not marry over someone else's name, I do not help anyone get a card with a lie. She went from soft to hard in one breath. You are overreacting, she said. You Americans love rules more than people, I am being practical. You picked the wrong consultant, I said. I build systems so bad actors do not win, I am canceling the wedding. Her voice lifted. You cannot, she said. My family booked flights. My friends bought dresses, people will ask why. I will tell them the truth if I have to, I said. You will ruin me, she said. I did not do this, I said. You did. Catalina stood from the bench and came toward us, small and brave. Adriana turned on her. Traidora, she said, traitor. Catalina shook her head and said, Dial la verdad, tell the truth. I left them there and walked to the attorney's office 2 blocks away. I slid my folder across a desk. I did not cry. I did not rant. I asked what the lawful next step was. She said we could notify the venue and vendors. She also said I could report suspected fraud to the appropriate federal tip line. She gave me the number and a secure email. She told me to be factual. Names, dates, screenshots, no adjectives. I went home. I opened the email. I attached the certificate, the message export, our texts about timing, and a short narrative written like a log. I pressed send. I put my phone face down and made rice because my hands needed to do anything but shake. Update 2, fallout happened in clean beats. I called the venue and canceled. Lost deposit. Kept integrity. I called the caterer and florist. I sent a short note to friends and family. Wedding is off. I am safe. Please do not contact Adriana. I turned off comments on my social accounts. I turned on 2-factor everywhere because it is my reflex. Adriana went loud online. She posted a vague story about xenophobia and papers as weapons. She said she was being punished for love. People who did not know facts put hearts under it. People who did know started texting me screenshots. I saved them and said nothing. She tried money next. She asked for my part of the honeymoon costs. I replied with a screenshot of the contract that showed the trip was booked on her card without my consent. I suggested she cancel within the window for partial refund. She sent 10 messages about fairness. I sent 1 line back. All future communication by email. Catalina moved to her cousin's place that week. She sent me a copy of a chat with Louis that mentioned a plan and El Americano. She said I could forward it. I asked if she was safe. She said yes. She said she was ashamed. I told her she did the right thing. 2 days later, my immigration attorney forwarded me an email from an agent asking for a formal statement and copies of what I had sent. We met at her office. I printed everything and numbered pages. I answered questions. The agent was calm and polite. He said I might be contacted again. He said not to talk to Adriana or Louis. He said not to post. I signed and left with my hands still. A week passed. Then 2. Adriana's feed went quiet, then loud again. She posted a throwback of us with a caption about men who cannot handle strong women. I did not reply. My mother wanted to comment so badly her hands shook. I said, please don't. She didn't. Then the legal part moved. My attorney called. She spoke measured and slow. There were ongoing inquiries. A case number existed. I was a witness, not a party. I should keep documentation and keep my head down. I did. Adriana tried a public stunt. She came to my building with a bouquet and tears for my neighbors. She said she wanted to apologize and be a family. I did not open the door. I sent a text. Leave the property. All communication through counsel. She left the flowers. I threw them out and took a photo of them in the trash for the file. Boring documentation wins. Lewis's name made it into things, not from me. Catalina spoke to an officer at the consulate about her sister's status. She gave names. She gave dates. She sent me a note that said, "It hurts. It is right." I told her I believed her. 3 weeks later, Adriana lost her job at the salon. Not because of me. Because a manager did not like unannounced news crews outside a storefront when a gossip blogger picked up her post. She wrote me a long text blaming me for her lost income. I did not reply. I copied it to the folder and went for a run. By the end of the month, my landlord agreed to remove her from the lease. She had moved in with a friend. I changed the locks that day with permission and sent a photo of the new keys to the building office. The apartment hummed in a new way. I slept for 6 hours straight for the first time in weeks. Update 3, 2 months later, when the noise had settled to a hum, Adriana emailed. Subject line, "Please." The body said she wanted to meet. She wrote that she loved me. She wrote that she had felt afraid and did desperate things. She asked for one coffee to talk like adults. She promised she would be alone. I set conditions. 30 minutes. Public place, Sunday, 11 a.m., the bench by the courthouse steps. She arrived in a plain coat and no makeup. She looked like sleep had become optional. She held her phone like a passport. "I am sorry," she said. "I should have told you at the start. I thought I could fix the papers after. Everyone does it this way." "Everyone does not," I said. "And even if they did, I am not everyone, I am me." "We can make a new plan," she said. "You can withdraw whatever you sent. You can say it was a mistake. We can marry later clean. I will get a divorce. We can do therapy." "No," I said. "I will not touch a system to help a lie. I will not marry you ever. I wish you had told me the first week we met. I would have ended it then, and we would both have kept our dignity." She looked past me at the courthouse doors. "If I get deported, it will be your fault," she said. "No," I said. "It will be because of the choices you made before I knew your last name." She blinked hard. A single tear. "No theatrics. I loved you," she said. "Maybe I still do." "I loved a person who did not exist," I said. "I am not angry now. I am tired." She nodded once and stood. "Goodbye," she said. I said it back. That was the last time I saw her in person. Final update. It has been 5 years since the Saturday I opened a Google Drive and saw a file that changed a life. The case took its own path. I will not give play-by-plays. It was not a show. There were filings. There were hearings. There were consequences for people who treat visas like vending machines. My part was small. I told the truth when asked. I kept documents numbered. I showed up on time in a suit that did not quite fit. Then I went home and made dinner and called my mother. Adriana did not stay in my country. Lewis did not stay in her life. Catalina finished a nursing program. We meet for coffee once a year. We talk about work and weather and people we try to be. When she says she is proud of me, I believe her. My life grew in the quiet that followed. I met Julie at a continuing education panel about digital evidence. She works as a prosecutor on financial and immigration fraud. She asked a sharp question that made 3 men in suits blink. I asked her to coffee after. We talked about boring things with joy, chain of custody, good note-taking, why checklists save marriages. We married 2 summers later in a room without paper lanterns. We said our vows in plain words. We served pie instead of cake because my father decided pie is more honest. We have a toddler now who loves trucks and insists that all dogs are named Pickle. We live in a house where the floors creak and the porch light sometimes flickers. We keep extra batteries in a clear bin labeled batteries because we promise to make our life a place where nothing important hides. I started something small that turned into something useful. An advocacy group that helps people spot and report marriage fraud without turning it into a witch hunt. We teach documents and patterns, not fear. We say the words verify and be kind a lot. We have a website with checklists written in language my uncle can read. We connect people to lawyers who answer questions without charging rent on fear. We keep files neat. We keep hearts soft where we can. People ask where the revenge is. They want a sting, a shout, a courtroom moment that ends with a gasp. I do not have that. My revenge looked like a folder with dates, a phone call to the right office, and a calm voice on a bench. It looked like letting a system designed to handle lies do its heavy work while I kept my head and my credit card off a honeymoon I was never going to take. It looked like a life I built after, where secrets do not get to be the loudest thing in the room. A nephew asked me last month why I did not marry the First Lady. I said, we wanted different things. He said, like trucks and rockets, and I said, something like that. He went back to building a tower and made a face when it fell. He built it again. I kept one thing from the near wedding, not the ring, not the vendor list. A small index card from the week everything turned. On it I wrote 4 lines in block letters. Write it down, call the right number, say the truth once, leave clean. It sits in a drawer next to my passport and a flashlight that still works. When I see it, I do not feel heat. I feel a cool steadiness, the kind you get when you step off thin ice onto the solid bank and realize your legs still work. If you are where I was, here is what helped. Believe the small mismatch. Ask direct questions and accept direct answers. Do not let anyone turn your compassion into a tool. Treat government forms like promises, not puzzles. Keep records like you are doing future you a favor. Choose a quiet exit over a noisy fight. Let the people paid to untie knots do their jobs. I do not hate Adriana. I do not cheer what happened to her. I hope she builds a life that does not need workarounds. I am grateful for the sister who chose truth over comfort. I am grateful for a partner who sets her watch by ethics and keeps mine honest. I am grateful for a house that hums when the dryer runs, for a kid who believes the moon is a friend, and for a pile of shoes by the door that prove people I love still live here. Sometimes I pass the community hall we almost rented. It is just a brick building with a faded banner. On Saturdays, you can hear music through the door and smell rice and perfume. I wish those strangers well. I keep walking to the playground where my son calls every dog Pickle, and my wife hands me a juice box like it is a medal. We sit on a bench and talk about nothing important. It feels like everything I wanted without knowing it at the time. The lanterns I needed were never paper. They were names on real documents and faces that stay when the music stops. That is enough.